It's official. I'm making a new segment. Meme or meta? We discuss something in the game and we decide if it's a meme or it's a meta. Because I was using the TX15 and I was like really trying to like figure out, is this a meme or is this meta? Because
I think it's meta.
welcome to ScavTalk, an Escape from Tarkov podcast with a continued focus on development of the game, patch note analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I'm one of your hosts. I am a video editor for a Tarkov YouTuber named Airwing Marine.
And I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber, helping you guys get better at the game. And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. And this week I have been delving deep into nostalgia. So I don't know how your week's been, Church,
Nostalgia.
but I've been thinking back to the good old days. There were some good times. There were some good times by that. Did you ever watch a web series called Pure Ownage back in the day? Dude, that stuff was the
I
best.
don't think so, but it definitely
No.
rings a bell.
Stuff was the best. It's where boom headshot FPS dog. Those memes come from like
Yeah.
2004, like so old.
Yes.
Man, so good. I went properly down memory lane. Like the last couple of days, I was just like, oh, so many good memories, such good times. It's just funny to revisit it after such a long time. It's one of those weird moments. One of those weird moments. But yeah, I was saying to you before, I've been traveling quite a bit this week, so I've not been in the game a great deal. So how's your week been going? How's your max trader life?
I mean, as far as Tarkov goes, yeah, dude, I've been gaming. I've been gaming a lot. I've kind of like surprisingly gotten, as I'm saying, deeper into Tarkov. I kind of suspected that once I hit max trader, it's gonna like fall off a bit. But I think what kind of like spurred up this newfound motivation to play is I reunited with my old group that got me into Tarkov, you could say.
No way. That's
Yeah,
great.
so they haven't played in like a couple of wipes, I think. Some, some of them have, some haven't, but yeah, it's been really fun, some good old friendly banter and reminiscing of the good old days, and it's just it's kind of crazy, man, like just having even one partner in raid, just like blown away by how you can, because what the meta is for this group anyways, I don't know how it is for other groups, but everyone has a second, well, most people have a second monitor. I think one person doesn't, poor guy, but and we have everyone sharing their Tarkov screen through Discord, and it's all on the second monitor, and it's pretty taxing performance wise, but also just like mentally. Like if you go into a 5-man, you have four other screens, sorry, to look at, and Discord doesn't. Maybe there's a feature in there, but it doesn't tell you unless you're focused on that monitor. It doesn't tell you whose username is on what screen. So then you have to like remember, okay, like Bobby's top, Jimmy's second, what Sevens is third. You have to remember the order, so it can get really confusing. And it's just like, yeah. But as I was saying, just having one partner, man, you can look at their screen and see what they see, and you can take the information and what you have and sort of like develop a whole new image of information, I guess. Like it's so beneficial because it's like, okay, I'm in this position, bad guy's here, my teammate's also in this position, there's no bad guys there, so I know I can do X, Y. Like I can infer so much information based off that, having that extra thing. So my raids have been going swimmingly playing with squads. Like it's actually kind of, I don't want to say OP, but it just like feels really good because now it's like, oh, I can insure my gear and there's a good chance it's going to get ditched for me. Like it's just like it's just like the 10 commandments of Tarkov, it's like one of the commandments is don't loot your how do I say this? Don't be a loot whore, okay? Don't if I kill something, I don't want to see my teammate diving on the body looting instantly. You know what I mean? It's all, there's like a respect thing there. But same thing goes, it's like if my teammate dies, It's like I'm not gonna leave his gear behind. You gotta fight it and then ditch the gear. That's just like the golden rule. It doesn't matter if we, one man goes down, we all go down for that insurance fraud. But yeah. So I got to kill Killa thanks to my
Oh
teammate
wow.
running. Yeah, I
Okay.
know. He ran up the escalators. He got shot at. He screamed like a little girl, ran back down, said it's probably Killa. Killa didn't chase him. I went up. So I already knew Killa was up there. I'm not gonna, he luckily he survived, but if that was me, I probably would have ran up there and just died instantly. Because that's just been my case every single time. But I was able to cheese him by just, he was so far away, he didn't aggro at me because he was upstairs and interchange down by big window. And just like right side peek and shot him in the head like 3 times. And it's so weird because he's just shoot him once and he like instantly aggroes, but he doesn't shoot. He's just charging at me. And I don't know if it's that he can't see me
I
because of
see.
the right side peeking thing. I don't know, but anywho, I got that done. That was like that made my night. I also got Tarkov Shooter Part 8 done on first try, which was
So you
just
did it in
like
the first go. How did it even happen?
okay, I would love to hear other people's strategies, but mine was sort of just like luck of the draw. So I spawned with the worst spawn I felt like I could spawn at, which is northern. I don't know. It's like the train yard station. There's like literally nothing there.
Yeah, on the
There's
old
like
in
an
the old woods.
yes, and there's like a new or there's the old extract there. I don't
Hmm.
know what it's called. I guess it's like
That
I
one
don't
is
know.
UN roadblock, I think. Was it UN
Is
something?
is that what it is?
Because
Okay.
it's the road, and you've got RUAF at the one end with the smoke, and then you've got
Yes.
UN at the other end.
It's the
Yeah.
UN one. I spawn there. I think, okay, let me go Immercom. Someone's got to loot Immercom. I wait there for like 2 minutes outside, looking in. Maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know. Nothing's happened. I'm just like, God, dude, I just want to go reset because that was my idea. It's like, I'm going to get the ball rolling off a spawn kill. So I go to the village, the new area where the car's at, to take that extract and just reset. Well, turns out there's 2 guys fighting. I think I killed them both. I'm not too sure. Yes, that was the case. I killed them. And I realized that I killed them both. And I'm like, okay, now I got an actual chance to do this. So now I go back to. I was going to go to the center of the map where Sturman spawns. But then I hear shots at Emercom. And there was 2 guys there, and I managed to kill one. And I basically cut him off at the extract. I ran to the because I was sprinting so much. I popped a mule. I don't think I had an SJ, but I popped the mule because I looted Immercom. That's what happened. Forgot when I first spawned, waited there. I was like, well, let me just loot stuff and reset. So I had like all the
Yeah.
stuff on me. Plus, I had these players, some of their stuff that I killed over by the new area by the car extract. So I popped the mule. I run all the way over there. When I get there to like finally see the guy, I line up the shot, but my stamina's out, so my gun like drops to the ground, and I missed the shot, and it was just like, God, I got to cut this guy off before because they're probably panicking, they're getting shot at. So sure enough, he's runs up the hill at the extract. I managed to kill him. Thank God, because last time I tried that quest, I lost my mind that day. Like everything was wrong. Rain was going heavy. Visibility was awful. Enemies killing their own teammates right in front of my eyes, taking my kills away from me. Like, yeah, it was a miserable experience. But yeah, that's been dude, it's been I've been sucked back then. I want to get max strength because I want to actually test us. Maybe make a video. Maybe and by make a video, I just want to like compare level 1 to level 51 strength and just see the difference. Um, just real basic, nothing like crazy. Just to have it like logged there, I guess, for people to see.
Yeah, because what's it like speed and like jump height and stuff, like things you can jump upon with max strength that you couldn't otherwise. That kind of stuff
Yeah,
too.
especially with inertia. That's really what I want to see because I've heard people say that strength basically means you get less inertia, which I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that's a weight thing or if that's a movement speed thing, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like you move faster, so that'll make it feel like the inertia's less, and then you don't feel the
Right.
effects until later because, well, I mean, elite strength is just insane in terms of weight because hardly anything counts, right? That's the
Mm,
crazy thing about elite strength. It's one of those funny things that I actually forget quite often how good the elite skills are because I never get them. I don't play enough.
right.
And so I always forget what the elite skills actually are. But I think strength is one of the ones which is like when you hear about it, you're just thinking to yourself, this is insanely good because I forget, but is everything that you're physically wearing on you, it's not loot in bags or secure container, but it's your armor, your helmet, your headphones, your weapon. I think both slots as well. I think both slots
Yes,
count.
I
So anything
think
that's physically on you, and I don't know if the bag itself weighs or doesn't, but it doesn't really matter once you've excluded the guns, the armor, the helmet, and the headset. I mean, it's just loot after that, and then you've also got a really high threshold before you get overweight anyway, because the strength is at 51.
it's
So
compounded. Yeah.
so it's pretty nuts. And then you're moving faster, etc. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know which parts of it are. Oh well, inertia feels less because you just move whatever it is, 16% faster. I can't remember the exact
Hmm.
number, but you've moved that a little bit quicker, and so it feels like it's less, or whether the number is actually decreased. If you did a lean, for example, is that lean faster because of strength? It's probably not, but I don't know. It's one of those things you can't really
Right.
tell until you test it. So no, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to check. But yeah, I think that's one for you to try. I don't know what my strength is now, but it's not really very high. It's yeah, people. I think strength is leveling faster than it ever has, but it's not something that I'm going to get. I don't think anytime soon. Anyway,
Well, out of curiosity, do you know off the top of your head what your stats are for
I
strength and
will I
endurance?
will reopen it. You know, it's funny because I keep having the game open and it keeps closing on me. And ever since they put this AFK thing in, the game's always every time I come back to it, the game's shut again because I've been away too long. So I'll
Hmm.
I'll open it up and then I'll tell you in a second once it's loaded. But it's not that many because I don't know. We could compare raids as well because I've not. Well,
Sure.
maybe I've played. I don't know. I've played a lot of scav raids, so that's where all the individual little raids have gone. But in terms of PMC runs, some of them are throwaway, kind of just running through, grabbing stuff, questy type things. But there's probably I probably haven't run that many really. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. The one that I always find fascinating is the search one because that seems like
Yeah.
something that was unintended because I didn't realize until I started watching people's streams and really actually paying attention because the search one it's one of those things where you can see how people use it and it's you search a bag or some container and there's a chance to instantly search. But given that you can just cancel the search, that's why people then just spam it. So you go click cancel until you proc the chance to
Right.
instantly search the
Yeah.
entire bag and then you search it straight away. So it may as well just be instant search chance.
Sure.
It's quite funny just because of the way it works. Like that makes sense if you couldn't cancel the search. Or once you've started searching, then it's always going to be a long search. You couldn't cancel and get the chance again to redo it. It seems unintended how good that is, in my opinion. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
level 39. I'm indeed level 39. I was actually surprised by that, but I managed to complete the therapist quest because I started running moonshine. I didn't end up finding it in Emacom or anywhere else.
Oh.
I found the ophthalmoscope through the moonshine case. And then I found the tank battery also through the moonshine case and finished the regulated materials one as well. And then crafted the LEDX in the hideout. So I'm a complete fraud when it comes to completing these quests. I didn't find any of them in raid at all, which is it's pretty pathetic to be honest with you. But anyway, so I'm level 39 now. I have 315 raids. I have 59% survival rate, and I have level 19 endurance and level 14 strength. My skills are very low.
Level 19 endurance, level 14 strength.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many raids do you have?
I have 315.
Oh, interesting. So this is probably just a playstyle difference. I have
Maybe.
367 raids. I wonder if that counts scav raids also.
I don't
It's a
think
bit
it
of a
does.
side note. But I have 24 endurance, 25 strength. And yeah, I suspect it's just a playstyle thing. And I'm considering depending, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure because I'm so I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's a shotgun magazine. I think it's the MP. I already see you smiling. You already
Seen
know
some
what it is.
screenshots on Twitter. Yeah, I think is it the 6 rounder or something?
I think it's a 5
I haven't
rounder
looked at it in
actually.
detail. Okay, but it's one slot, I think, or two.
It's a 1 slot, yeah. So I think it's a 5 rounder one. I don't know, but the reason why it works is because it weighs decently heavy, I think. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but I guess in theory you could. So let me start like this. So the old, or one of the metas for grinding out strength was shotgun shells. Well, someone figured out that Jaeger sells the magazine and it weighs decently heavy, and since you can insure it, you can always just ditch it, because that's kind of the downside of doing the shotgun shell things was, yeah, you could stack up to 20 and, sure, they were cheap, but you were constantly spending that money. Here we go. So it's the MP153 um 5 shell, and it weighs almost a whole kilogram. So
Wow.
that's actually really good. Um yeah, that's actually really good. So I'm debating about doing that because it's just going to be a lot it's going to expedite the process. I don't want to do it in 1,000 more raids if I can do it in,
Yes.
200 raids. So probably, because the other part that I understand is how it works, I want to say for both strength and endurance, but we'll say definitely for endurance. The skill points that are accumulated before the system checks for the skill exhaustion, right,
Hmm.
happens when you finish your sprint. So if you do an extremely long sprint, in theory, you could actually exceed the cap for the skill exhaustion and get those extra points that you normally wouldn't be able to get. And I assume that works for strength as well, but I don't know. So long story short, SJ6 coming to raid, just barely overrate, you know, go to the spot I want to go, and then as I'm looting, just start dropping mags and moving out, and then rinse and repeat. I mean, I tried the previous wipe. I did it, or a couple wipes ago. I did something similar, a little bit of shotgun shells, but I just got so bored. I just couldn't even be bothered. And I will say, having the air filter, like I notice, we get like a pop up that endurance leveled up, strength leveled up. Like, it definitely does help once you stack all the hideout bonuses. So you've never gotten max strength before, or max
No.
endurance?
Or max endurance. I've never had max endurance, no.
Okay.
I mean, that's one thing. I haven't even built the air filter. Because the problem with me is that I don't normally play for 3 hours. The only time I ever
Yeah.
play for 3 hours is when I stream. I never play for
Yeah.
3 hours otherwise. I play for like 30 minutes and then like, yeah, 30 minutes, like over and over with stuff
Yeah.
in between. That's usually the way it goes. So it doesn't really make sense for me to put it on. To be honest, I haven't enough money, so I could. I could just do it.
Sure.
So it's fine. But yeah, it's one of those. It's just one of those weird things. I think this is also a symptom of kind of, I've been saying basically every week, I've been hard tasking, I've been hard tasking, I've been hard tasking. Because like, how many PMC kills do you have, right? Because you don't have that many more raids than me. You've got like 50 more raids or something. I have 136 PMCs killed, which is like really low, because I've just been trying to level,
Right.
and that partly is I guess my survival rate is sort of higher for that, but sort of lower because sometimes I do stupid runs just to finish the quest. So it's kind of like on the high-ish end, but not like crazy high, as if I was like playing every single one really seriously. Because sometimes I just go with almost nothing and just run through and grab, put the documents in the thing and run off.
Yep.
And sometimes I die 3 times or whatever. But I like leave it till the end. I don't know. It's one of those crazy things. It's like definitely a very specific sort of weird. It's not even really play style. It's just like I'm just trying to maximize the
Sure.
XP from questing. So that's kind of how it ends up going. I could see why it ended up like this, but oh yeah, I was just about to ask you, because you were talking about strength before. Do you actually know what the most efficient way to level up strength itself actually is? Is it just running whilst very slightly overweight? Is that the best way?
To my knowledge, yes.
Because I know you get it whilst you're walking too, I believe, if you're overweight anyway. But I imagine it's at
Yes.
nowhere near the same rate, and I don't know when the game checks for. Maybe it
That's the
checks
question.
continuously if you're walking. It's always worth doing a bit of a test on it because, yeah, I've heard that before about the whole pop all the stims, do as long a sprint as you physically can to get past the cap, basically, and get as many points as you can in one go. Yeah, that's actually worth checking because I don't know exactly well like how many points you can get before it goes red. Because part of the problem is that you can't. Well, cheesing is in a different way is a bit difficult because with like something like sniper skill, you can reload the most in a bunch of times, and then you can go about your business. And then after 5 minutes, if you haven't done, if you're not using a sniper, that is, but if you're using something else, you take it in as well, or even just the cheap VPO. And then after 5 minutes, you go, oh, okay, well I can reload it again now because the skill exhaustion thing's gone. But if you're doing strength or endurance, it's very difficult not to get XP because you have to not get XP for that 5 minute period, and that's almost impossible to do. You can't do it in otherwise just lying there perfectly still for 5 minutes. It's not
Yeah.
really something that you want to be
Well,
doing, and that's it's not really efficient either because you run around and then lie for 5 minutes, but then you got to do something. You got to do something for 5 minutes. Like the whole thing is just a bit silly. So I don't know whether it is just doing that sprint with all the stims on, try to
mhm.
go as long as you can. Or I guess you want it's all the stamina stims, and go as long as you can in one run. And I guess if you do, if you have SG6 and some of the others as well, you could probably go for a really long time.
Yeah. Um, I think one thing you could do with this was, I believe I did it in the past. I feel like I remember checking, but so with going back to the shotgun shells, what I would do is, sprint in the interchange. Once I got inside or at my first loot location, I would drop all the shells so then I'd be underweight and I would
Mm.
loot. And then the idea was eventually later in the raid, I would be overweight. So then I would get back into the, you
I
know,
see.
zone where I could get those extra points, or not extra points, but the not penalized basically to avoid the penalty.
Yeah.
So you could do like that, but it's not really reliable and it's just something you could do, I guess. But
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because that's I don't know how the skill XP scales in terms of difficulty, but sitting here at like level 14 and level 20 something that you are thinking like, man, how much more time will it take to get to 51 or something? Seems a bit daunting.
Yeah, it does, but I think the hard part is, at least in the previous time I was doing it, was that because as you get up higher, it becomes harder to become overweight. So
Mm.
you're almost like incentivized to cheese it if you want to actually level it. Yeah,
Yeah.
in a weird way. I don't know. It's weird, but that's the difficulty of it, I think. Because like right now I'm using the what is this? The MMAC rig,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that thing's like fairly light, so it's like I'm 24 kilos with this DVL and pistol and a couple nades and backpack. I mean, it's just like, yeah. So I don't know how much extra weight I would need to have. Like, how do I even know what my overweight limit is until I actually go on the inventory and check or start looting stuff? Like, it's kind of a difficult thing.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. Although none of my levels are really that high, except obviously for metabolism.
Hmm.
Because our PMCs, they're thirsty boys.
Yeah,
They're real thirsty boys. They really are. My metabolism is level 33. It's nearly double my next highest level.
that that was one thing that I did. Um, Focus was anytime I picked up any food, except for like chocolate, something like
Yeah.
that, just eat it. And I had max metabolism when I was like mid 30s, maybe. I
Mhm.
don't know. Which as far as like, so when you hit max metabolism. So I'll pull up the skill here. So level 51 gives you enhanced food and drink positive effects by 50%. So if I drink a water, I just like instantly get 100 hydration every time. And the elite skill is 0 chance of dehydration and exhaustion effects, which how I understand it is I don't tick damage from the being dehydrated.
Yeah.
However, I'm not positive, but I still feel like I'm losing stamina from being dehydrated. I don't know if you noticed this, but when you're dehydrated, I feel like your stamina regen is less. Sometimes it can be a degen if you're overweight, especially. Like if you're just barely overweight, you'll start degen in just a little bit.
Yeah, I never really put myself in that state, so I'm not actually sure. I know if you get actually exhaustion, then your stamina bar just stops going up. But that's really the only time that I ever noticed it was when I get into a really critical state. I do know you said about not eating chocolate. I made chat cry one time eating an al yonk on the way to extract because it was the only food that I had in my bag, and I was like,
Yeah.
what? Everyone was like, no, you can eat the. And this was in the GPU wipe as well, the Bitcoin wipe, and so it was, no, not the 50K, just like just chomp your way through 50 grand. So, it was funny. But that's really the only time. The rest of the time, I normally think about it and bring stuff in, and then make sure that I'm not gonna get dehydrated or whatever. Because it used to be, I think it used to be so that it took you longer to get dehydrated. Previously, I think they did change it at some point, didn't they? Because previously you got to a certain level of metabolism, and then you just didn't have to worry about it anymore because it took so long that it didn't matter. Whereas now you still get dehydrated the same. You just the food that you do drink, the food that you do eat, and the drinks that you drink give you more. And then you get the stims effect as well, don't you? You get the reduce of the time of the negative effects of stimulants, which is kind of cool if you
Oh,
take
okay.
stuff with side effects.
Actually, really good with the
Mm.
ETG and your 5 ETGs in your injector case meta. I didn't
Yeah, so it's
realize
really
that.
strong. It's really strong with the
Yeah.
injectors. Yeah.
So is that a elite perk or is that just throughout the
That's just
that's
throughout.
just
So
throughout. Okay.
mine at level 33, mine is a 33% negative
I
reduction.
got you. Huh.
Yeah, so that just scales as you go,
Mm-hmm.
which I always thought was kind of cool. Someone was telling me the other day that they use the Abdol boss all the time, and
Really? I don't even know
I
what
was
that
like,
does.
really? Well, this is the thing. They were like, oh yeah, I use it constantly. It gives you some really good stuff, and it's like endurance plus 10, strength plus 10, resistance 10, sorry 20, charisma 20. Who cares about that though? Stamina recovery like half a point. But the thing is, it's 1800 seconds. It's like a seriously long time, and that's the deal. But you lose memory, intellect, and attention. And then there's all the random ones, which is like pain chance 25%,
Okay, that's what I was
abdominal
wondering.
bleeding 25%, hydration 25, energy 25, damage taken 25% chance of having that plus 20%, which is awful. So we were talking about that a bit, just like, oh, you can pop the Abdol boss, and then depending on what you get, that determines the kind of rage you're going on. So
Yeah.
if you get damage taken plus 20% for like literal eternity, then now it's a loot run, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works out. The one that probably annoyed me the most, actually, I don't know whether you could probably get pain to go away just with painkillers, but tunnel effect for 1800 seconds, man, that's not good. That's not
Ugh.
good.
I just think the pain one would be the worst. Like you mean M80 just one taps you now. Like I don't know. That would just feel really bad. Or sorry,
Oh yeah,
the damage.
the
Sorry, I meant
damage
the
one.
damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty bad. Yeah, you got to be kind of careful because I think mule does the same, doesn't it? I'm not sure if I have a mule to hand, but mule also increases your damage taken. I think it's 10% or something.
Yes, yes, something like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you have to be a little careful, a little
Yeah.
careful. But I haven't been in too many situations. I was nearly in a situation where I needed to use the mule the other day because I'm very slowly and carefully getting
Hmm.
through Punisher 6. I'm basically only doing it on stream, and I play like a couple of shoreline raids, and we get through it. And we had one which was really nuts, and went to weather station, and there was like a huge fight, and then I ended up killing 4 guys, and I'm not sure if they were. I think 3 of them were definitely on the same team. One dude
Mm.
had killed 3 people inside weather station. I killed 3 outside weather station, and another guy who came in afterwards, who I'm not sure was on the same their team or not. But it was really weird, and so there was 7 bodies in there. And ended up trying to min-max take everything. We were probably in there for 20 minutes looting, trying to fit everything in. At some point, I just had to cut it and say, no chat, no more. Like, you're not baiting me into taking any more stuff. I know that's more efficient. I don't care anymore. We just need to go. But it was so late. And I was like, well, everyone on the map's here. They're all dead on the floor. So I didn't even bother using it. I just wandered over because we still had 18 minutes or something. So we just wandered out the map, just enormous. Doing a bit of the old crawl, stand up, sprint,
Yeah.
crawl, stand up, sprint, crawl, which was quite fun. But that was good. That was with again the being tactical, but that was with the lower recoil SVD, which I mentioned last time was working, and yeah, it's still working. So I'm kind of close. I'm just trying not to force it too quickly because I don't need to finish that quest. But I'm on. Yeah, got that was another 4 kills in that raid, and then a dead raid. Didn't really see anybody, but the problem with doing it like that is just it takes a while because some raids you just don't see anyone and you end up in a really cool fight and you kill a couple of people, but it takes you an hour and a half to get into that one
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
So after playing a couple of raids first, a bit of factory, a bit of this, bit of that, and okay, and then we'll do some Punisher raids and then 2 raids and then the stream's over. So that's kind of the thing at the moment. I'm like, oh, is it another stream, another more Shoreline, more Punisher? Maybe. But slowly working away, slowly working my way. But it's nice though that it's the slump is kind of over, and the raids are actually going well for once. Like I had 4 kills on Woods the other day with the semi-auto M4 build, and then 4 kills on Shoreline with the SVD. I'm like, no, this is working out, and I'm actually playing slower. Maybe that's again another thing on the stats too. I'm playing even slower than I don't normally play that slow. I'm kind of in the middle
Mm-hmm.
usually, but with the recoil changes and stuff, I just found and going through that period of just getting really dicked on, I revisited everything and kind of changed my style a bit. And I've ended up coming out the other end playing semi-auto and like much more tactically, I guess, and more
Yeah.
cautiously, and not being. I don't know. There was a part of me that was kind of like, I don't want to sit here in this one place and listen and stuff. I want to be going around the map doing cool stuff. And I don't know. A part of me is just kind of taken a chill pill a little bit and gone, it's okay to sit, listen to the shots, find out where people are, move in, try and get third party kills because it's also kind of comes back to what you were saying about, I'm playing on my own, right? I need to give myself every advantage that I can
Yeah.
because if I come up on against a duo and the guy kills me, there's no way in hell I'm getting any of my stuff at all when it gets shared between 2 dudes. If I kill a duo, they're probably getting some of their stuff back because I can't take all of it. So there's this weird asymmetry, and I've spoken about this ages ago in the videos about insurance, but this is like a long time ago. But there's a weird asymmetry there where being solo is just so bad compared to being in a squad. It's like your chances of getting your stuff back is so diminished. In the squad, it's very, very high, and also because of the numbers, you're more likely to be able to win the fight in the first place. And it's like 1v2, you have to kill both people. If it's 2v1, this is kind of 4 outcomes. The 2 kills you outright, and you get stripped of all your stuff. You kill one, and the other kills you, and you lose all your stuff. The one kills you, and well, no, you kill the other one, and the second one kills you, and you lose all your
Right.
stuff. Or you kill both of them, and then you get to take half their stuff. So it's like the
Yeah.
four outcomes. It's like in 3 of them you're getting all of your stuff taken, and in one of them you can't even take all the gear that you came in with. It's like I
Yeah.
left so much stuff up at weather station. I was taking obviously individual attachments and stuff, so I had foregrips and lots of things like that. But most of the people there were getting all their guns back because they're just not efficient to take. And
Yeah.
on your own, I'm not going to be taking 74Ns. I'm not taking AKMs. It doesn't really matter how modded they are. Maybe I took the best one that I could with me, and maybe because I can't buy some of the stuff, I might take one that's got a Troy and the QARS
Right.
rail,
Right.
something along those lines that I can't buy myself.
Yeah.
But other than that, because you can't take those hand guards off or anything, most of the time they're just staying on the floor. If it's not going in my second slot, it's just staying on the floor. So, and yeah, you get most of that stuff back and the pistol grip and whatever else you put on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a funny one. It is a funny one. It's so heavily weighted. But Nikita doesn't really want people playing solo. He's actually said that, and the game is really designed for team play. So I don't know. It kind of makes me more stubborn in some ways to be solo, and but then also less apologetic about being slightly more. I mean, you could call it ratty in some ways, but I think now it's like, well, the game's harder to run around with laser beam guns and that kind of thing, so you have to get an edge some other way, and it seems to be working, so I can't really complain. And we'll see. We'll see how things go. But yeah, it's kind of different. It feels different. It does feel different. I even did a whole bunch of running around on factory and getting shot in the head. I was like, okay, well, this doesn't feel like it did before. It's weird. Something's changed. Maybe it's me. I don't really know. Inertia and the catalyst of the game, and then me changing as well. I don't know. Very, very odd. Very, very odd.
Yeah, I will say, like a weird thought occurred to me. Maybe it's because I played with the squads, but um, there was a day where I was like, okay, I'm gonna just SJ6 and just grind shoreline, farm money. I think I was working towards solar power, and I was just getting ass handed to me, man. It was like I might have said this last week, even I don't remember, but either I think I did say this last week, yeah. So either I would, the raid would be empty and I would just loot and scoot as like fast as possible, or I would just get in, loot a few buildings, and just get head eyes by someone. And then like the thought occurred to me playing with squads. It was just like, I'm gonna SJ6 to the resort. Why am I gonna go all this trouble looting everything just to like, you know, I'm on the third floor. Let me go downstairs, and then there's a guy sitting there waiting for me. Why don't I just sit first floor, just holding the choke points? The only like 3 ways they can enter the building. Well, I guess 4. Like they go up the metal stairs to the roof, but that's pretty rare. And it's just like, yeah, why should I not do that? You know what I mean? That just makes like, why am I gonna do all the work looting for someone for them to kill me when I could just sit there, eliminate all the threats? Like we just played a raid last night. We were like outside the resort, and I was like on the roof with another guy, and we weren't really first there, and come to find out, there's a guy in West, and there's 2 teams, or sorry, a 2-man inside. They were basically just stuck inside a room on wood. Like they couldn't go anywhere. I mean, if they run out, they die. So they ended up just like trading with a couple guys, and nades went off. Like it was just, they went all through all that trouble just to get pinched out of a room. Like it's just kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. But as far as like the mentality of I'm going to get there first to get the loot first, it kind of just makes sense that I'm going to get there first to hold the choke point to prevent you from killing me later in the raid. You know what I mean? I don't know. This weird thing that occurred to me. So I might start doing that a lot more. I'm not sure. Well, like especially on shoreline, like shoreline just makes so much sense. Like, you can't really do it on like interchange, or maybe a little bit on customs. I did feel really bad. I'll be quick. I went to new construction, like across from Stronghold, Alamo, whatever you want to call it, and like we spawned new gas, and I just like ran straight there. And I was been messing around with the TX-15, and sure enough, I hear shots near bus stop, and it's 2 players shooting at scavs. Well, pop both of them in the head. Okay, and then like a few seconds, I just like immediately like run down, loot them really quick, run back up into my little bird's nest up there, and I hear shots by pocket watch, and it's like
Yeah.
2 2 penis helmet guys. Kill them. I was like, oh man, those guys were new. Whatever. I'm just like, I don't loot them. I just keep surveying the area. I hear more suppressed shots. I look. As soon as I look, the guy sees me, but it's too late for him because I'm already like pulling the trigger on his head. And his teammate is, as I'm killing him, his teammate is prone diving on the body that I didn't loot, and I kill him. So I got like 6 PMC kills that
Wow.
raid.
Oh my god.
And all I did was just sat and camped and waited for people to shoot or get shot at by scavs. Like it was kind of like,
Yeah.
dang, this is, and I got so much loot. I couldn't even loot all this stuff. I was like, dude, Mike, you got to come loot these bodies. I can't. I had like 6 helmets in my backpack. It was crazy. One of them had a
It's nuts.
pilgrim, so it was just like, dude, why am I even like rushing to the loot? Just let the loot. It's like, yeah. Anyways,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. How have you found the TX, by the way? Because it's kind of, I had a little fiddle around with the builds, and it's actually
Hmm.
not that dissimilar. I mean, it's basically the same as the M4, really. It's got a little bit more ergo, I think, and that's about it. But if you're using the M4 and semi, it's kind of the same deal. I think it's got the same feel and stuff, so it probably feels quite good. But that's basically the same gun that I've been using, which is
Hmm.
5.56 with, I assume, 55A1
Yeah,
out of a semi-auto with probably 40-ish recoil, I would guess.
yeah. All right, it's official. I'm making a new segment. Meme or meta? We discuss something in the game and we decide if it's a meme or it's a meta. Because I was using the TX15 and I was like really trying to like figure out, is this a meme or is this meta?
I
Because
think it's meta.
I think it's I think it might be a bit of a both. And here's why. As you said, it feels the same as if you're shooting an M4 on semi, right? And
Mhm.
like the base gun is stats wise, I think it has like 7 more ergo and like 2 less recoil than like the base M4. Like
Something like that.
the
It's
lower
very close, but
receiver.
slightly
Yes.
better. Yeah.
Something like this, right? And the only way you can get it, can you buy the lower off a dealer? I don't know if you can.
I don't know. You might need to buy the whole gun.
I
I'm
think
not
you have
actually
to buy the
sure.
whole gun, and the whole
Let me
gun
check.
is quite expensive off the fleet.
Uh, People are selling lowers, but yeah, you have to buy. Yeah, exactly. So it's skier. It's because it comes with the Thunder Beast. That's why.
Yeah.
For 210K, it's expensive. Or this one's actually not too bad. You can have a really awful version for mechanic for 2 GP coins and 2 pressure gauges, which has the worst stock in the game, the Troy thing with all the ergo, and that horrible EOTech sight with the flip-on zoom,
Hey,
and it's got the wave,
some people like
and
it.
it's got the skeletonized AR-15 grip. I mean, I mean, this gun, it looks awful to me. I think
Well,
this is
it does have
terrible.
the Mur upper, which is kind of nice. But that's the one
That's
redeeming
true.
factor that's out of all those
That's
parts.
true. Yeah, it's 63 ergo and 64 recoil, which is pretty
Yeah.
meh. But yeah, no, you're right. You can't really get the base
So
weapon.
that's kind of the bothersome part, is that you have to pay a premium, and it's like, what are you really getting? Because here's the thing: it's like all right, so if you're gonna compare M4 to TX15, let's just give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it does perform better, um, as far as like recoil goes. Like and I say that because it's hard to tell because you're semi. If you're gonna compare to, you're gonna fire semi-auto because the TX can't go full auto. So you just can't compare
Yeah.
that. But because you're firing semi-auto, the recoil differences are so tiny. And yeah, I mean the stats, yeah, I don't know. Like I think I got the recoil to like 28 on just like the most ridiculous, like full recoil parts. And I mean it felt pretty good, but it's just still kind of like, I don't know. So that's kind of the first issue, is like you're paying a premium to give up full auto, but you're like, what are you really getting in return? Then, and the second issue I thought was, why not just build a SR25 or a M1A or an RFB, or something that just fires a beefier round. I don't know. It's a weird gun, because then it's like, oh well, if you have max level traders, then it kind of makes sense to do, because then you can get all the good parts like the Mur upper, the what is that one tube called? The advanced tube.
The advanced tube, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the PRS stock, I guess. I'm sure some grips, and oh yeah, you get the meta suppressor from Peacekeeper 4.
And it's a
But
suppressor and the growl grip.
yes,
I've been messing around with it recently,
you
yeah.
know. And then it's like, but you get the ammo that's like budget friendly. I just don't know where it fits, so I'm not too sure. But I will say, I've been using it. I've been using 20 rounders, true DMR role player right here. to get that extra ergo. Like I tried a really high, like a 90 ergo build, and it just didn't feel like I was actually getting anything meaningful. Like there was one instance where I was scouting or like tracking a guy and he went behind cover. And yes, I could hold the 1 times or 6 times for a really long time. But if I hold the 6 times, I can't tell if he's gonna go left or right. I would have to like move my 6 times to check those 2 positions, right? Because my vision cone is so small, I can only see 1 entrance, 1 exit. So if I go 1 times, then it's like, okay, now I can see both. But I'm gonna go 6 times once I find out what he's doing. I could just not scope in and basically have the same vision cone. I don't know. It just I'm just not sure holding the gun for that long really has any pros to it. You know what I mean?
I do. I do know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And
Because, and this is the same problem that I've been having the whole time. And when we were discussing about our ergo thing before, it's like the
yes.
advantages just don't outweigh the trade-off that you're making in terms of recoil, because it feels so good to fire if you go recoil. And the ergo thing, yeah, it's okay. And if you're really stealthy and tactical, waiting for somebody, then you can be prone anyway, and then it's fine. The stamina thing's not an issue. So,
Right.
and as you say, you don't need to be zoomed in 1 times. You can just not just have the gun in point shoot mode, wait to see the guy, and then zoom in on 6,
Yeah.
bam bam. Because even if you're in on 1, you have to click it, and and you get that weird thing on, except on most there's some guns like the SV98 where the scope click is just seamless and doesn't do anything. On a
Mhm,
lot of them, it
mhm.
depends which weapon, it depends which scope, but some of them have that strange click when you move from 1 to 4. So you're almost better off not using 1, being on 4, and then
Right.
zooming in straight to 4,
I
because
get
it's
you.
less I don't know, off-putting when you
Mhm.
change from one magnification to the other. I find that sometimes anyway. But I think my immediate answer to you before saying I think it's
Mhm.
meta was really based around the fact that the weapon acts pretty much identically to the M4 that I've been using, and it's been really good. Less so whether the TX in and of itself is meta or not, because this is the thing. I don't think it's worth going for the TX over building an M4, which is cheaper and has almost identical stats and use case with the same mods with full auto as well. Because I've quite enjoyed having full auto with a laser. I've enjoyed that, but at
Yeah.
point blank, it's still good. It's still good, and
Right.
having 800 RPM is still nice when somebody's right up in your face
Yeah.
and you just with them with the 55A1 and they die. They die a lot of the time. It's great. And so you can probably take that disadvantage on the recoil thing, which is really nothing, and the ergo, and to have those extra features, I think it's worth it. But I do genuinely think that that hybrid M4, which is not designed for full auto or ranges because it just doesn't work now anyway, and doing that semi thing most of the time and then switching it to full auto for those close encounters, that's when I think it's really good. And that's kind of where my enthusiasm has come from for this category of weapons, so to speak.
Mhm.
I've been using the 20s as well a little bit, and ended up switching back to the 30s, just not because I was running out of ammunition or anything, just because I didn't think there was really much point in decreasing my mag by such a large amount, because you get what, 6? I'm just looking now. I think you get 6 ergo. Yeah, you get 6 ergo for going to the 20s. Just like, is that enough? I
Right.
don't know. I'm
You're
not sure.
trading a third of
Yeah,
your mag capacity for 6 points to ergo.
yeah, exactly. And that also then answers the question of, well, why not an SR or something? Because, well, you can get a 30 round mag and you can potentially go full auto with the M4. So yeah, TX fine. Maybe you just go for something with a larger caliber that you can still get down to a good recoil level. Although
Mhm.
I've not really done a full comparison between the two and how much does it cost to get, because to get the SR and the M1A to
Right.
40 something recoil is
Very
pretty expensive,
expensive.
I think. Whereas you can get the M4 category of weapons down to the 45 region. It's easy to get to 50. something like 53, for example, without getting the meta stuff. But if you get one or two sparing pieces of the really good parts, then you can end up in that 40 zone, and you have good ergo, and you have 30-round magazines, and you have full auto capacity. There's a lot of extra stuff I think that you get, which maybe does justify it. I don't know, but I need to play around with them because I think it's interesting. I think they're both really good. I think this is the problem. I think they're actually both really good in this wipe too. And
Hmm.
so trying to choose between two things that are both really good, I think is quite tricky. Because I was looking at the SR and I was thinking, man, you can get this guy down to some decent recoils as well.
Yeah.
One thing, actually, just before I take a short breath for air and let you speak for a second, they moved the is it I can't remember what the exact name of it is, but the RSAS handgun, they moved it. Did I say this last week? They moved it from the M4.
Yes.
So it's off the M4, but it is on the SR25. And I think
Right.
it's the best handgun there. Maybe I did say this last week. So I was playing around with SR, and I'm going to do something on it at some point, but I haven't really played with it yet. This wipe so far, but I think it's good. I feel like it's really good. I've played with it once when I did the drop stream, and it felt great. And you can do some cool stuff with it and attach the cheap foregrips because it's all M-lock, and I don't know. It felt good. I think it's a good weapon.
You can, I don't know if it's like this last swipe. I don't think it was, but you can throw it on the mutant as well. I don't know.
Well, I can't see the mutant, so I'm
Right.
not allowed to play with the mutant because I
But
haven't done. I need
do
one
you
more quest.
recall if you could do it last swipe? Because I don't think you could.
What, on the mutant? You mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, I think they
Hmm.
changed the. I think I think this is apparently more realistic. Somebody, I can't remember whether it was in my Discord or on Reddit or something. Someone was talking about it somewhere, saying that it's on the RSAS kind of by default, right? It's like a 308 AR. Gosh,
Yeah.
what's it called? It's basically the larger caliber one. There's something that's like missing on the L15 style weapons, with like you can't put it on or
The
something.
gas block or the gas.
I'm no expert. I think it was even more specific than that. I think it was
Huh.
some particular pin or something that's just like not on the M4,
Oh,
for
okay,
example.
okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
Apparently, but I'm not really a.
Allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's like an AR10 versus AR15 thing, supposedly. So I don't know, but yeah, you can get it on the SR now. I was playing with the SR. I think you can get that to 46, I
Hmm.
think, but you need to have the death to all ergo stuff on. But you can change those things over, and then it's kind of okay. And as we said with semis, it's not as punishing because you don't need the recoil to be silly because you're only firing in semi anyway, and it makes a big difference. It's like using
Right.
that's my experience with the M4, right? It's like using it in semi-auto. You're just like, oh, if this feels like complete worthless trash on full at 55 recoil, and it's totally usable in semi, totally
Yep.
usable. And 55A1 really kills people in
Yeah.
12-12 because not everybody's running good, like higher end mid tier class fives and level 6 armor, and they're using class 4, and it just drills straight through everyone.
But this was the thing I was noticing with one of the builds I was doing, the really high ergo one. I was using the mini monster suppressor, which isn't
Mm,
a good suppressor for recoil, but is really good for ergo. Like
indeed.
dude, it only subtracts like 7, like it subtracts hardly any for a suppressor or hardly subtracts anything. And the other interesting note,
Yeah.
which is not really a pro in any way, but your gun, the suppressor doesn't add any extra cells to the gun as far as like inventory storage.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, I never
which is
noticed that.
cool, but not really a good thing for for you in case you die and it gets looted. But it's kind of cool. Um, as I was saying, yeah, it's great. I had a really high ergo, but 40 recoil, I could actually fill the standing, using the 6 times scope, the reset to center from the recoil. I could feel the difference between that and like a 32 recoil or
Mm.
30 recoil. Like I could actually land consecutive shots a lot quicker, which is a great advantage when you have multiple targets or maybe you miss your first shot. Like I mean, so it's like, is the Urko thing? And jumping back to the mags, the 20 rounders. the most annoying thing about them is that you don't get there is no what is it? Loading the magazine timer bonus. There is no bonuses
That's
for
a
that.
good point. I've never really checked, to be honest with you.
Me neither, but I noticed it because I'm using 20 rounders. So,
They should probably add that.
you want to pack mags more often, right? Because you have less to work with. But it's like
Yeah.
it was actually really painful because I could actually tell that there was no bonus. Like the Troy battle mag is a 10%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if one bullet takes, I don't know, a second, you know, it adds up. You can feel it, especially unloading. Unloading is the big one. But anyways, I digress. It's yeah, as cool as it is to use the 20 rounders, because I kind of like it because you're taking a 1x2 that's a 30 rounder, and you're gonna trade it off for two 1x1s that's 20 rounders. So effectively that slot is now 40 bullets instead of 30. You're not getting the full 40, obviously, because you're dealing with 20 rounders, but it's kind of an interesting slot efficiency within ammo,
Yeah.
if you will. So that part's kind of interesting, and the extra ergo is interesting, but I'm not sure if it really pays off in the long run, if you will. So
Yeah, I mean, it's efficient on rig space, and that's the cool thing,
right,
because also they fit in the pockets too, so you don't
yeah,
need anywhere near as much space. Plus, you don't need a free 2x1 in case you're going to throw the mag on the floor either. So it's even more efficient. It's like they're
yeah,
more compact and they fit in the pockets too, and then you don't need this extra space, and you don't need to worry
right.
about picking up something that's going to go into the rig, and then you're going to reload, and then it's gone on the floor, and all this annoying stuff. So there's that too. Yeah, I mean, I used it a little bit. I just thought when I was using it, am I really benefiting from this? And I'm kind of worrying about this 20 round limit rather than just taking the hit a little 5 or 6 extra ergo and getting the
Right.
30s. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm still, the jury's out for me. I'm not 100% either which way, especially if you're
Hmm.
using if you're using something like the TX, I think it's much more compelling, even though, as we said, it's less compelling to use the gun. But if you've got the full auto capacity, I think that's why I changed over, because I was like, I've not been in a situation yet where I've met somebody at point blank. And when I do, I'm going to want those extra 10 bullets, rather than that extra 6 ergo. So that was why I did it. But I've not really needed to use it yet, except on scavs particularly, because most of the time I've been picking my engagements such that I didn't need to. But it's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. Yeah, it's cool. I'm pleased that it's been working out, because I do think that these weapons are good. They're just a nice combination between the rounds are really good for the armor people are using. The recoil is great for the amount that you need to spend money on them. And on that basis, they just seem to fit this really nice middle ground at the moment. 5.56 on semi. And I don't know whether that's going to tail off as we get further through the white, more people using class 5 and that kind of thing. But it's also, the rounds are really, really super, super fast, right? 55A1 inside the M4, it's 905 meters per second. But that's the M4 that I'm using at the
Hmm.
moment anyway. It's really quick, and it feels great for getting headshots. And it's kind of what you were saying about your raid, right? Headshot after headshot after headshot. And it's the same. The other weapons, it doesn't feel as good. I don't know. Maybe that's just anecdotal nonsense for me. But I find actually headshotting people with something like the RFB, I just find it more difficult. Don't know why. It's a combination
Hmm.
probably of ergonomics and all sorts of other things. But this M4 that I've been using is just like a real sweet spot for me. It just feels good. Maybe I'm just so used to it because I don't know. It just feels nice, and I think it's that good combination. Because yeah, you don't need to be able to 3-tap everyone in the thorax. Sometimes you just hit them in the head once and they die. And 55A1 is good enough to go through class 4 helmets and all of that stuff. It's that perfect round to do what you need it to do, but also if you don't hit the head, you can still kill them in 3 hits through class 4, and you've got a nice reset time between shots because the recoil's low.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's just a nice mixture of things. You kind of get a bit of everything. It's good.
So final conclusion: TX15, meme or meta?
TX15 itself, meme, but
Okay.
very, very, very close to the performance of other 5.56
Yes.
weapons, which is very good. It's one of those things like, yes, it's meme, but it will work if you use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give a similar opinion that it is a bit of a meme, but I think there might be a very niche case where you have to do some true flea market scouring. Buy one that's not been stripped, that's came off a raider, off the flea. Just slap a scope on there, slap some very cheap mods, and use it like that. Because Thunder Beast is not a bad suppressor, and you get the 18-inch barrel, and because you get the extra ergo from the base gun itself, that will help offset that a bit. I think there might be a very weird sort of like level 15. What's a good DMR that I could use? I don't know. Maybe there's some TX15 enthusiasts will be like, yes, keep feeding me more. They'll probably be like, he's on to me. He's ruining my secret. So
Oh. So what else? What else actually happens? I mean, it was super super quiet for news and stuff. We kind of
yeah.
passed over that section because there was nothing really. I had my very first flare on a scav ever. I've seen screenshots of this fabled flare scav in the past, and I've played many a scav raid myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never ever ever had one. And I've been trying to slowly build up scav karma, and I'm now at precisely 5 scav
Wow.
karma. But I didn't have that when I got the flare. I was like 4.8 or something. But that was the first time that I've ever had one, and I was quite surprised. Actually, I was quite surprised. How did you get on with scav karma in the end?
What do you mean?
Did you do your quests or anything?
No,
Did you?
I'm actually pretty close to being neutral, and I want to
Mm,
see if that changes. I don't.
yeah, because you
Yeah,
were testing that. I didn't know if you'd made it.
yeah. It's not really gonna mean anything if it does or doesn't. It's just kind of. I don't know. Just something I'm curious about. Really the
Yeah,
only way I
exactly.
could find out. It's not like I phoned up Nikita or someone at BSG, but
Fair enough. Fine. Well, when you make it there, then you can tell us, and then we'll
yeah.
finally know the answer to how the coding specifically works and whether it refreshes and checks or not. I don't know. We'll see. There was There was actually two cool things that have come out which I wanted to mention about, which was firstly
Mm-hmm.
the guys over at Tarkov Changes
Mm-hmm.
made a ballistics calculator of sorts, and I started to have a fiddle around with it. So Tarkov Changes is kind of, as far as I understand, Logical Solutions and his group of people's putting out
Yeah.
various stuff, and you see his updates on Twitter, and they have banned items on the flea, that kind of thing. So the way that they connect to the Tarkov data, they take as much as they can out of that that's publicly available and then publish that. So what they've done, they've got a ballistics tab, or they always did. They've got a new tab called simulation, and it says get science scene. You click on the button, and then it loads a simulation, which is kind of cool. Now I actually don't know, and I haven't asked anybody, but I don't know whether this has got anything to do with the TarkovBallistics.com guys, because the UI looks very similar to me, and it might be related. I mean, all these people talk to each other, so it wouldn't be a big surprise
Yeah.
if that was the case. But basically, what this does is it says, what's the site 0 to?
Mm-hmm.
What range intervals would you like to see? So 10-meter intervals or 50 or whatever you want. And what's the maximum range you want to simulate up to? And then you pick an ammo, and then it tells you the stuff that we were seeing on those tables before. So damage and pen and the drop off for those particular periods. But the cool thing about this is that I know on some of those static tables, sometimes they are messing around and changing with the format. But sometimes at very close range, it's kind of hard to know because some of the ammo starts, I think it begins at 100. So you have the 0
Hmm.
distance stats anyway from no foods table, and then you have the
Right.
100-meter one. And some of those ones on the threshold, you think to yourself, well, I'm interested to see exactly where the pen of Igolnik, when does that go? Well, sorry, the damage of Igolnik, when does that go below 35, for example, but you can't
Mhm.
necessarily see because it's already well below it at 100 or a little bit below. SSAAP is another one, which is quite a lot below it. So anyway, that lets you customize that, which is quite cool. And then you are supposed to be able to pick
Oh,
an
okay.
armor as well to simulate it against for some damage calculation
Ooh.
stuff, but they haven't done that yet. So that's in there as a placeholder. You can pick the armor, but it doesn't do anything. So
Gotcha.
we'll wait and see what happens with that, which is super cool. Then I was like, oh, I'm going to bring this up and tell everyone about it. And then the Tarkov Ballistics guys have released a different one as well, which does something very similar. And that one, you pick a caliber and you pick a round, and
Mhm.
then it tells you the muzzle velocities and the sight, and you pick the sighting too and the range, and then it generates one of their tables automatically, like the ones that are on the website. And I think they're also looking at doing some more in-depth armor ones or whichever. So no one's actually come out with a full armor calculator yet, but I believe it's in the works, maybe from both sets of people. So we'll see. I'm excited about that because that's the one thing that I really think that we're missing here is that iPhone or the Apple iPhone whatever version of
Yeah. Battle Buddy.
Veritas's Battle Buddy is good for that, but poor Android users like me can't use the
Mhm.
armor simulator anyway. And I also don't know. I've never been able to use it, so I've not been able to see. I don't know exactly how much it incorporates. I'm just not sure. And so these ones are cool because they're also going to be able to incorporate this damage drop off too. So you firing at this armor and from what distance and this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So it's going to have everything all wrapped into one. And then rather than just being tables and then some of the armor things on Tarkov Ballistics, which are really useful, but they're averages across different armors. And some of the categories of armors have very wide. So class 4, I think, is potentially the worst for that because you have the ceramics at the one end, which just have total garbo
Right.
durability, and then something like the trooper at the other end, which is, I think it's three to triple the durability of some of the
Mhm.
lower ones, even more potentially. And that makes those hits to pen or hits to certain damages less meaningful in some ways. It's an average and it gives you a good idea, which is fine. That's totally okay. But
Right.
if you want to drill right down into the specifics and
Yeah.
say, if this guy's wearing a trooper and I'm firing at him from 76.5 meters and I've got 55A1 with 56A1 loaded behind and then a rip round at the end, whatever, like a hollow point, then you'll be able to simulate that kind of thing for people who really want to nerd out. So I'm excited for when that comes. Honestly, I am, because the value of having a calculator that tells you some of these break points, and that's what I'm interested in. The overall averages are all well and good, and it's important to understand. But then when you're picking out individual rounds against individual pieces of armor and things that are meta or not meta, though Tarkov's a breakpointy game.
Yeah.
We've discussed before about how you have a realistic game, and I've had lots of conversations with people about this, where you have a realistic game with realistic ballistics to a certain extent, but it's good enough, it's fine. But then you've got the rounds having they've got damage and they've got penetration. Okay, now we're starting to work, we're starting to get into the gamey territory. Oh, but they lose damage and pen over a distance, and then the bullet interacts with the armor, and the armor's now got a class rating, and this means this percentage probability table, and now we're fully in the game world because this round 100% pens and this round 30% pens, and so there's these breakpoints. And again, as we've discussed previously, they're very tight. The bandings in which the penetration occurs or does not occur. You go from 33 pen to 37 pen, you go from roughly 30% chance to pen to 50% chance, or no, not 37, but
Mhm.
30, 39, 34 pen to 39 pen is like 30 to 90%. So those bands are very tight, and so it leads people to metagame the way the system functions, and so that's why those specific calculations are important. Kind of rant over, but that's why I'm interested in those things, because otherwise you can't really tell what's happening, and it's very difficult to come to conclusions, which is why it's important to have the information, because otherwise you're just guessing, and guessing
Yeah.
isn't fun. Making informed and sensible choices, because then you're thinking, well, this round may be great, but I have to be fighting within 50 meters. So do I want to go short range, long range? And you're picking your stuff and looking at the tables. I like it. I like that kind of thing. It's good. It's what appeals to me. It doesn't appeal to everybody, and that's fine. People can use the averages if they want and pick something that's going to be or will give themselves a little margin of safety and go M62 or something. They're always going to be able to pen class 4 at any range, really, realistically. So there's lots of different ways to do it, but I like being able to pinpoint and pick out individual pieces where these tools are really super handy. So I'm looking forward to the armor stuff coming. I really am. I think the last point on this, I think the armor mitigation despite a penetration actually now finally has become common knowledge. People are aware that this is a thing properly, and that you see much less comments and people talking about 762 PS one tap in class 4, for example. I had a discussion with someone the other day in the comments about it on one of my videos, because it's, I think most of the community who are interested in this stuff now know that that won't do it unless the armor's damaged to start with, which damages its ability to, or hinders its ability to prevent the one tap, or you get a frag, and that can happen. And I think those rogue events make people think, oh well, sometimes it must do, but the dude is wearing, a 25 durability rat rig or something, or you just got a fragmentation, which is not out of the question. I mean, the 762 PS is the one that people talk about all the time for, 76254R, that is specifically, because it's got 86 damage, right? And so you can one tap people in the thorax, in inverted commas, but it has an 8% chance to frag. So one in 12 times that someone shoots someone in the thorax, they instantly die and they had a full class 4 on. Oh well, it must do it. And it's sometimes you're going to get a frag chance, and it's just the way it goes. Or maybe the dude was hurt before, you don't know. It's so hard to know. But anyway, I feel like that's kind of become common knowledge. So some of these misconceptions are actually being ironed out of the community.
Yeah, I think the most common one I've seen is SMB in one tap.
Really?
That's usually that's the one I've seen.
Really? How do people even think that?
I don't know why. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, oh, SMB, and then they really meant PS back in the day, or because like if you're new to the game, there's so many abbreviations, and like trying to remember what alpha numerical links to what numerical value, and it can be a lot to keep track of. But yeah, that's the one I've like, guys, no, that's not the one that one taps, or that's
that
not
also
true.
has 8% frag, so it
yeah,
can.
exactly, and that could be the case. Yep, could be the case. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Have you been scavving on Lighthouse at all recently?
No.
Okay.
I haven't.
So when I reunited with my friends, they were doing a lot of Lighthouse scavs, and I haven't done it in a long time, since the beginning of the wipe. And one thing that they were telling me, and I was watching it happening, is some raids, they would get shot at by rogues. Other raids, they could be, touching butts with rogues, and they'd be fine. And it's, I've seen them doing enough to know that, and I trust them enough also, and believe them, that it's not because they were shooting at rogues a previous raid and getting punished. Like, it was just a very random event. And I was just curious if maybe you've experienced it, and maybe someone listening, if they've experienced it and can confirm or have some type of hypothesis. My thought, and their thought as well, is that someone pissed off, maybe it's a player scav that pissed off the rogues, and now they're like aggro to all scavs, which is an interesting thing. Like, I don't know, there's something weird going on, and I don't know, it's inconsistent. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, it's an interesting thing, weird thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I stopped scavving on Lighthouse when that came in, because the rogues never used to hurt scavs at all, ever. And they used to say, oh, locals are here, when you'd walk in and steal the stuff out their base, which was kind of weird. But I was doing it a lot at the beginning of the wipe to make money, because it was very, very profitable. And I think it still is profitable now, but it just takes a bit of time, and you have to deal with the slightly lower FPS and that kind of thing. And I've just the longer raids I've been playing PMC, and the short raids I've been running through factory in 2 seconds with my scav. So I kind of stopped when it was not as easy to go into the rogue camp anymore. I stopped going there and was doing easier things. But I actually have seen in a few places people say exactly the same thing
Mm.
about the rogues and about how I don't know whether it's if anybody aggroes them, PMCs or whatever. I guess that probably couldn't be the case because they pretty much get aggroed by PMCs every raid.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's probably unlikely. But if a player scav tries to kill them, then they're aggro to the whole player scav faction. I've seen people talk about that, and I think
Mm.
that's probable. I can believe that.
Mhm.
I don't really know either which way whether that's true or not, but I think that's probably right because I tried playing probably 10 or 15 raids after they made the original changes when they were doing lots and lots of tweaks to the rogues and they changed it the player scav behavior. And some raids I could go in and, as you say, run right up to them and they'd be walking in their conga line round doing their patrol and they'd bump right through you, effectively walking past you. And sometimes you'd wander in and then they'd say, "Scav over there," and it's just all hell breaks loose, and you're down in
Yeah.
one of the big circle things by the helicopter, thinking that they were all okay because they were a long way away, but they didn't aggro for some reason. And then suddenly, when you're in the middle and have no way of escaping, they've decided that you're public enemy number one. So I'm not entirely sure what the catalyst is, but I can well believe that it's any player scav that kills rogues because it's quite compelling, I believe. I don't think, and again, I've not tried, so don't take my word for it. But I believe that you can kill rogues without losing any scav karma at all. And I think that has always been the case. I think. But again, I haven't tried because you if you do, you just
Yeah.
get lit up. And normally on my scav runs, I'm more interested in looting static stuff rather than killing AIs and trying to take their things and risk a change being made and losing 6,000 million scav karma in one raid by accident, like I've seen to other people with scav bosses and their guards. But I don't think rogues are in the same category. I don't believe so. Anyway, I'd need to go and check, but I don't think they are. And so that then lends even more, if that's true, that lends even more weight to the fact that it's a player scav who annoys them and makes them hostile to all player scavs
Mhm.
because that then incentivizes people to go in and kill them because it's kind of like going and killing because can you kill raiders on reserve? You can kill raiders, right? As a
Yeah.
scav and not lose
Yeah.
karma, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing as that then. So they've got good loot and you can go in and kill them and also have a fun fight or whatever. Like practice fighting against them without playing PMC and potentially dying. Or I also don't know what happens whether they aggro to you if you shoot a rogue. Do they then hate your player scav for a few raids?
So
Or do they hate your
that's
PMC? I don't actually know.
it wouldn't surprise me if it was HRPMC. God, dude. I was listening to the Hideout podcast.
Hmm.
Um and they were having to talk about scav karma and they sort of brought up an interesting point in that, who's like the enemy when you're playing scav? It's it's like, is it the PMC? But you don't get positive scav karma unless they killed AI scavs or player scavs. But you can also take a friendly extract. I'm literally just like ripping this straight. Yoink our content now. You could take a friendly extract with a PMC, and both of you get scav karma. And then it's like you can shoot raiders, and you don't lose karma. But if you shoot scav bosses, you lose karma, and you shoot their guards, you lose karma. Like it just, I don't know. I don't want to go down the a scav karma row, but yeah, it would not surprise. Jumping back on topic, by the way, you should check out the Hideout podcast. Really cool guys. They got a lot of cool interviews with a bunch of different people in their own content as well, where they shoot the shit, very relaxed environment. As I understand it, if you're a scav and you kill a rogue, they are hostile to you for like the next couple of raids, same as PMC. But it would not surprise me if that was miscommunicated or I can't read and it actually goes to your PMC and not your scav because that's how the system works. But anyways,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, I know that before you've voiced your opinion about the way that Scav Karma works, particularly, it doesn't really. I always end up agreeing with you, but I also just don't really care. I don't know why. I'm not sure. It doesn't really bother me, and it probably should, to be honest, because as you say, the system's a convoluted mess of.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in as a scav, but then as a PMC, the thing that you get the most scav karma for is driving the car as a PMC.
I just like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so you've said before it doesn't make sense, and I just don't. I don't know. I just play
Maybe
the system. Don't really care so much.
I'm just like a psychopath, and it's like, ADHD or like consistency, like, oh, it's inconsistent, because it doesn't say, because it said scav, it should only affect scav. Maybe, sure, maybe yeah, but
I think for
at the
me,
same time,
yeah, I think for me, the find and raid system
mhm,
and the way the descriptions of the find and raid system work overshadow that, and that's always annoyed me more. And that's probably, I think that's why that always just sits there in the back of my mind, like it's like a grain of sand or like a small pebble inside your sock that can never be removed. And you're
mhm.
walking and you have to go about your day-to-day business and you forget about it most of the time. And then sometimes you think, man, that pebble's really annoying. I wish I could get rid of it. But having the finding raid system, it's that classic thing that we've talked about previously, which is and I think even Veritas talked about this as well in the past. You made a really lovely flow diagram of all of the ways that things could become finding raid. I need to find that diagram actually. Is genius. But it's you can make something in the hideout outside of the raid and it be finding raid. You can kill a
Yeah,
PMC and take their gun in raid, and that's not
it's
finding raid.
right.
And the whole system's like unintuitive. It's called the wrong thing. It needs to be. It doesn't do what it says, and that's always annoyed me more. And
Right.
the scav karma thing, I'm kind of like, well, who really knows what's going on anyway with the scavs? Are they friends with your PMC? Because at the end of every raid, he gives you all his items after all.
I
So
know, it's like, I don't dude, it doesn't make any sense. I just like, and to me, this is why I think BSG, the way they implemented the system was, and again, I can't, it's just how I see it, was to push players in a very particular set of behaviors. I think that's what the system is. And to me, I mean, we spoke about this some time ago when I read you that article with Gary Newman talking about Rust, and they were, having this discussion essentially of like player behavior, and people were saying, oh, I say friendly, friendly, and I get shot at and die. Can we put some type of system like a ban system? And then Gary was like, no, we think the more interesting thing is to have an open ended. We don't want to directly influence player behavior like that. So I say all that to say, I don't know what I'm saying, but I just don't like Scav Carl, man. It's like, oh man, I don't know. I can't, wishful thinking isn't really good, but I would say, I hope that they do some type of redesign. I don't know what they're going to do with PMC karma, but I think there's a lot of potential. I don't know, man. It's one of those things where, as you said, who's it really bothering, right? Who's really bothered by the current status quo? Because if you think about it, it's kind of like loot haven, baby. I mean, I go in factory, and I've actually been like speed running loot spawns, and occasionally I'll die to a PMC, and occasionally I die to like a player scav. But it's like, dude, that's his loss, man. You're gonna kill me over a couple nuts and bolts. Like,
yeah.
okay, whatever. Like okay, I mean, it's like no big deal. I'll just spam it over again. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. There's so many systems where it's like this linear progression, and then once you reach the top, it's like insanely good, and it's like the traders are like that. The Scav Karma's like that. The hideouts like that, and there's just like, I don't know, man. And like it is RPG system, but in a game like Tarkov, it just feels like I get punished less than someone at level 1. I feel like I completely derailed this conversation, and I don't know. I just don't know if that's, if how they like, is this a part of how they see it and how they want the experience to be? Because it's just weird not to have some type of matchmaking right, to sort of even the odds, if you will. But because one player has 1,000 hours and he's maxed out all these systems, it's just like, man, he just has so many more resources, so much more advantages. I don't know. It's just it's unique. It's unique, and I'm not sure, man. A
Yeah, I don't know. I
weird
mean, yeah,
thing.
I don't want to go. I don't want to tangent even more because I'm going to end up leapfrogging your tangent. But I think what I've talked about in the past about having scenarios that drive players naturally to harder locations with like better loot, that kind of thing. Would you don't need matchmaking if you can get people to do those things
Yes,
organically, which is kind of a
yes,
kind of cool idea. But I've talked about
that's
that
true.
before, and I don't want to discuss it again. But you reminded me of something which is
Okay.
sort of like tangentially related, but not really, which is about the running through on factory, which I've been doing a lot of, but without even looting the boxes, just running through
Yeah.
and doing the speed runs just as quickly as possible, kind of thing. And I got kind of a bit fed up of it, got a bit bored of it, and so it's so tempting sometimes to want to go and you hear a few shots, you think, oh, something happening over there, and I changed it a bit. I did if I've got a little bit more time and I'm thinking, I don't need to just speed run this because I'm in the middle of something else. I started doing this thing where I take my scav and I
Mhm.
run into the middle to the pit,
Mhm.
the big pit in the center, and I wait. And I wait for about 30 seconds to a minute. And if there's shots or I hear angry scav voices or some kind of disturbance, a kerfuffle, so to speak, then I think, right, let's go and get involved and go and run towards it. And it's actually been really fun. It's actually honestly been quite fun. One of them, I ended up catching a guy in the S Bend tunnel underground, just next to the pit, actually, because I was running around and there was some shots, and then went down into that section again. I think I did a big loop into the new area, down the ramp, left, and the guy was in that S Bend section where you normally feel quite safe. Came around the corner, completely surprised him, shot. I think his armor was completely busted or something. I had a 74 with PS ammo, killed the guy, and he was not super decked out, but he had an Ash 12 and all
Oh,
sorts of
okay.
stuff, which was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
took that out. It's like, yeah, victory. And then there was another one where a guy was just being chased and just nibbled at the heels by tons of scavs, and he managed to make his way through into the gate zero room where you have to do the
First.
unlocking. Yeah, and I was sprinting because I could see this fight happening. And as I spawned in, there was all this gunfire going off, and I see this guy. He killed one of the final scavs that was chasing after him and went in the door. And I was running, 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 threw a grenade through the door. The guy manages to unlock it and like sprint in. I wait for the grenade to go off and run in after him and just start spam firing, shoot over the crate, and killed him in the extract bit. The guy must have been so sad, and he was properly geared and had a really nice M4, which I was actually admiring and thought this is really cool. And it was one of the ones that I was thinking about how whether you could improve it or whether it was a good version of exactly what we were talking about earlier, because it was a really nice. It was like Ultor with and it had the SAI on it and everything. It was the short version there. It was the 206 barrel with the short
Mm.
SAI
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
the Cobra on it and the Ultor, and it was actually because it had the all the meta stuff but short. It was actually pretty nice. It was
Yeah,
crazy
decent.
ergo. It's
Yeah.
like 60, 70 ergo or something, but still 45 recoil. So for factory is okay and
Okay.
suppressed, and with a 60 rounder in it. So I don't know. I thought it was really nice. But anyway, I've had some great fun actually just trying to kill PMCs on
Yeah.
factory because normally I can't find anybody, and I was like, how am I actually gonna find anyone? Because killing scavs is really difficult. And I've tried, but I made a mistake once, and losing point one is really annoying. If you're actually trying to grind scav
Yeah.
karma, like you mess up once and you kill the guy who was the victim rather than the guy who was the perpetrator, and he killed the guy who was trying to kill him, and then you kill the dude who he did nothing wrong, according to the system anyway. And it sucks because even the PMCs that I killed, I only got, as you say, it depends on how many they killed, but how many scavs do you really kill in a PMC raid on factory if you're leaving it 10 minutes? I got 0.03 for killing both of those two guys, and I lost point 0.1 for killing the wrong scav. One
Yeah.
tapped him with the shotgun down into the pit and negates
Yeah.
3 and more good PMC kills. And that's if they've killed scavs. So Yeah, it's fun when you can actually hear the shots and you know it's the PMC. And sometimes when you're grouping up with other scavs as well to run someone down, I felt like I valiantly did my part the other day and ran in with two people behind me, and I just got capped instantly on my way in through the door. But I could hear all the shot as I fell to the ground. There was all the other shots going on, and it's quite a fun experience. I think factually like that's quite entertaining because it does put a decent enemy there for the PMCs, but it's also
Yeah,
fun for the scouts because your life doesn't mean anything either. I like it. I actually like the interaction. I think it's good. I think it's good, but it's cool because I've never killed as many PMCs as this week. Actually, just doing that, running to the middle, waiting for a minute, seeing if anything kicks off. If nothing kicks off, leave. And I've been just doing so many raids that you get so many chances of having something happen and getting into an interesting spot. It was kind of fun. I was just doing them so quickly I didn't even bother recording them, to be fair. Maybe I should just delete them if there's nothing happens. I don't know.
yeah,
Should
you
get into the
should.
habit of doing that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the penalty is just so bad. So
Right.
bad for killing the one guy. It really sucks. And it makes you so hesitant to want to try and actually go after PMCs because sometimes the scavs who've looted a PMC, especially if he's a green helmet kind of dude, they look like a sort of level 12 person, and they're actually just a scav that looted the level 12 person, and you shoot them and you get to the end screen and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. Another thing that I thought was making a complete total turn off somewhere else, just while I'm thinking about stuff that I was musing over this week, was about the daily quest, because I don't know about your daily quest, but mine is still super low
XP.
XP.
Yeah.
And from what I've read online, apparently 46 is when you get the big difference. Which at first I thought, oh, that's a bit stupid, but on reflection, I think it's probably okay because you still have real quests when you're getting up through 42 and 45, and when you get to 46, you're probably running out, and that's then when the massive XP kicks in. There probably should be a bit more of a slope to it,
I
because
yeah.
some of mine are kind of annoying, and I think 4K for this,
Yeah.
4K, and I end up not doing a lot of them.
I forgot what I turned in the other day, but it was like three bolts and like a pack of nails. And I got like a horse and a AI2 and 5,000 EXP and a couple rubles. I'm like, dang, dude. But it's like, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of not in that situation. I feel like I have a lot of not good quests to do. I got shooter born in woods. I got to kill 11 more PMCs of grenades because all the quests past that are locked. Um, Sherman, which that's not that bad. And what are some of the other big ones? I guess like there's a
Have you
couple
got
in
like
reserve.
Insomnia, that
I
kind of
don't
one?
think so because that's locked behind Grenadier, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or maybe it's locked behind Psycho Sniper, but I don't have Psycho Sniper because I haven't done Shooterborn Heaven because that gives me 1 point in sniping skill, which puts me at that level to do Psycho. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess you're right, man. I don't know. Just yeah, I have noticed that like 5,000 XP and I'm level 44 or 43 or whatever. It's just like, ugh. So, but apparently they get really extremely high. I haven't done any, like I said before, but I've only done turn-ins. Like I just take pier boat 3 times, like shoot a scav 60 meters away in the stomach or thorax. It's just like
Yeah,
it just feels like I
exactly.
gotta go so far on my way to get such small. I don't know.
Yeah, because I had one created that hand in 2 AKMs. I was like, well, I can make them in the hideout, so fine, I'll just
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
those are my
Easy.
favorite. The crafting.
They're great. Yeah, and this one
Yeah,
that you already have.
yeah.
I guess like I had one like 3 survives on reserve. Like this is today's 3 survives on reserve. I've not played today, so 3 survives on reserve is like kind of okay, but you might need to play 6 raids. I don't know. Like, and then I'm just trying, and I'm just trying to leave as well. And it's like,
Right.
does the time? I don't really want to do anything in reserve. Does the time incentivize me even going to that, or should I just do something else? Something where I'm going to actually complete a real quest. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I'm
just
with you.
it's a weird one. I feel like it's in a really weird spot because even now at level 39, I'm near the beginning of 39. I need 170k XP to get to the next level. And the 4k XPs from the dailies are okay if they're easy, but a lot of the time they're not. And it's yeah, really de-incentivizing me from wanting to go and do those quests.
Yeah,
Right.
I just feel like there's not the weeklies I'll try to do if they're like reasonable, but the dailies, only ones I ever do is turn ins because they're the I don't know, they just feel way more doable. Maybe just because half the time I have some of the stuff already in there. Like I had one where I had to turn in a chain lit, a horse, and something else, and I had like 2 out of 3. I just need a horse, and I got to play like 2 raids, and I got a horse. Like that was doable, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. 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 The only other thing that I wanted to ask you about was I've seen quite a few people posting about PC settings and of getting really good frames. I don't know whether you had any thoughts. I've not really looked at it too much, and my technical abilities with PCs is, I would say, decent but not expert, and it's not something that I
Mhm.
focus on. Like I can, usually, except for this one that I have because of the graphics card, the great graphics card shortage of 2020. I normally build my own PCs, and so I'm competent, but I'm not somebody who spends his weekend overclocking CPUs. That's kind of
Right.
that's sort of where I'm at with it. But there's quite a few people talking about it. I saw, I know one peg's been talking about it because he had a sick rig built, but he was doing a bunch of tuning. Um, and then there was like a couple of other guys who were posting up screenshots on Lighthouse, scoped in, getting like over 100 frames and stuff. I don't know whether you'd had any thoughts about it or like looked at it at all, because my like Lighthouse runs like a complete dog on my machine.
Yeah, CPU.
Yeah, but I mean, it puts me off
CPU
playing the map.
intensive. Huh?
It puts me off playing the map.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tarkov's just not well optimized, and it's most games most games are GPU bound most of the time. Um, so like your GPUs could be the bottleneck, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Tarkov is like way more CPU dependent. Um, and from my understanding, Ryzen doesn't perform well. I think it has to do with like the Infinity cache, which is just like I don't know, just how I honestly don't know, but it's kind of how they can get good performance in other workloads. It works
Mm.
in gaming too, but my understanding is Tarkov is like primarily focuses on single core performance, and Intel historically has always had superior, especially and even now, I think superior single core performance, not like any multi-threaded support
Yeah.
performance. So yeah, people that have like I don't even know what the naming scheme is, but 9900Ks and whatever, like the top of the line Intel, the fastest 5 gigahertz in the single core. Yeah, it's like it's great for them. Congratulations, you get 100 frames, but it's like I don't know. I just wish Tarkov was because kind of what you want to do is try to put as much workload on your GPU. So one of the things I did recently is I actually turned on PostFX and I did some testing on Lighthouse and I got within margin of error results. So 1%, 2% difference. So, and actually in the positive when I turned it on, like I was at like 42 and it was like 43 PostFX on. So
Weird.
kind of what I suspect is that maps like that, woods, interchange, these really big maps, um, with the AI and everything that's going on, I don't know. It just puts a lot of stress on the CPU, and I guess maybe the occlusion, or is occlusion? I don't know. Anyways, I don't know, man. It's just
Sucks
like,
to suck. Me with my 3700X.
yeah, it's just I don't really know what to do with it because now I have PostFX on. I turned image scaling off, um, where it like resizes to a slightly smaller resolution because um it was like there's two issues is like some of the it kind of adds a little bit noise to the image, and you can try to like soften it or sharpen it how you want, but that part is a little bothersome, and um I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like my sensitivity was higher, like my desktop sensitivity was lower, and I was in game, like the menu sensitivity felt higher.
Oh, weird.
Like it just felt I just never really got used to it. Once I switched back to my default resolution, it just everything felt better as far as aiming goes. So I've been sticking to that. I've noticed on Woods and Lighthouse my FPS is worse than before. Like when I scope in now, it just feels really bad on Lighthouse in certain spots, especially looking in the row camp. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw one tweet guy had like 200 some FPS. I'm just like, dude, I would like kill for that because I think like what I was trying to say earlier that I kind of skipped over because my brain's Papago factory is factory and labs. You can actually get really good FPS. You can turn post FX off and get good FPS even in online mode. I think it's just because of the map. There's just less going on in the space of the map that it takes up. But
Yeah, I don't know. The one that
yeah,
interested me. So the one that interested me was, and I've found it while you were talking. Chipperwubber put up a post on
oh
Twitter
really?
saying, "Should we start a scoped Lighthouse 100 FPS club at one peg?" He said, "Disabled hyperthreading on a 5900X with negative curve 3080 and 1440p TAA high with scope on Lighthouse," and he's got 103. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I thought because the hyperthreading is sort of the whole like 8 core plus 16 threads, and
yeah,
my understanding is just Tarkov does not utilize any of those threads, so it's all that's gone to waste. Which is like, God, I would love it if they optimize the game because I just feel like we get so much better performance, man. Like, oh man, frames wins games, dude.
I do indeed. I feel like every other map now, except in some specific circumstances, I feel like it is okay enough on the machine that I have. But it's just like the combination of Lighthouse being the sniper map and having the worst FPS,
Right?
and picture in picture being the literal worst thing about
Yeah.
Tarkov FPS of all time. That combination of things is like you want to be scoped almost all the time. Scoping is awful, and scoping
Yeah.
and like the Lighthouse FPS is also really bad. And those combinations just kills the map. I just don't really want to be playing there doing that type of gameplay. So the type of gameplay that it's designed for, I don't want to do
Yeah.
because it feels like I'm playing Lighthouse PowerPoint.ppt. It's bad.
Yeah. It is bad.
So maybe I should have a look at some of this stuff and figure it out because although I I have the ability to do this stuff, I'm normally quite lazy when it comes to it. And if I can
Yeah. No,
leave
I
stuff
feel
on
you.
default and it'll work, then I will do that if at all possible because it's less about I'm not scared to break stuff or try things. It takes time and I
Yeah.
cannot be bothered. And
Yep.
I would rather be playing my 30-minute raid instead of spending 30 minutes messing around with hyperthreading.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. I get
Which
that.
is annoying. Yeah, like trying to spend your time trying to make the game run better when like rather than actually playing the game. I never enjoy that particularly. I'm not much of a tinkerer with that kind of thing. You know, it's people who love like messing around with cars and all that kind of stuff. It's just like I just wanted to go from A to B. I'm very like pragmatic with my stuff and with the tech thing. I often find it's quite funny because I'm not even really a hobbyist. It's like every sort of 3 or 4 years, I'm like, right, it's time to build a computer. Let's read about what happened in the last 3 years. I'm like, I'm really bad like that. I just once it's, and then I'm like, right, okay, spend like a week looking up everything, and then once it's built, I then just never look. I don't look at hardware again for like 3 years. It's like really, it's bad, really, it's bad. But it's because I don't know. I'm just like I'm pragmatically interested, but like most of the time, I'm just like, it's fine, but it doesn't excite me that much, and so I just don't naturally end up learning about it. But I'll have maybe I'll have a play with something and see. Yeah, because mine's like sat here going, oh yeah, it's 2.6 gigahertz. You've got like 16 CPUs, and I'm just like, well, that's all well and good if one is just melting in the middle and the other 15 are just chilling out. While they're like animating the picture on my desktop while at the one corner of my CPU silicon is just imploding on itself. But yeah, maybe my rig is a little bit imbalanced for Tarkov, honestly, because I've got there's lots of 3s and 7s. Ryzen 7 3700 and then the 3070 GPU. And I think the 3070 is better than the 3700 in as good as as comparable as these things are. I
Right,
think my GPU is probably a lot better than my CPU is on that basis. So I don't know. Maybe I need to have a fiddle and see if I can make it work a bit better. Try and see if I can turn off some hyperthreading, because it's not like I play anything else, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it. And let you know how it goes.
So one thing I want to ask you, and then we'll work on wrapping this up, is, well, I'm going to ask you something, and then I got one other thing I want to mention. But I've
For
noticed
sure.
keys have come down quite a bit, and I'm curious what you think about the 100 key uses, because how far are we in the wipeout? 2 months? Is that
A bit
accurate?
longer now.
Or is it 3? Are we actually,
I think
we're
it's
closing on
3 now,
3.
close to 3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like keys have become still no Marin key on the market up for sale. At least not that I've seen. Maybe I could pull up Tarkov Market, but
Do you want to know what I did with mine in the end?
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, what did you end up doing?
Because I don't use other keys. I don't really use keys,
Right.
so I ended up trading it for a Twitch armband.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm gonna rep the drip instead. That's more
Yeah,
important
for
to
the
me.
cosmetic. Yeah, I mean, hey.
Just because I'm not going to use. I was thinking, oh, should I get the house key or something else? I'm like, I'm barely playing Lighthouse as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind doing key runs, which is also something I don't really do.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm going to get something that looks cool in every raid. Let's just do that. It's
Yeah.
better. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked since then. I still have one. I still have another one because I have two, and it's just sat there with 100 out of 100 because I never go to Lighthouse and I never go to the car. So maybe I'll trade it for something else. Who knows? But I quite like having one copy, just to have it.
Yeah.
But it seems, yeah. What do you get at the moment? A military power filter, military corrugated tubes, blah blah blah. So it's probably worth about, according to the market, somewhere between 500k and a mil, I think.
Hmm. I mean, if someone put up an offer, I would pay a mil for it to have it. But yeah, I yeah, I guess I was curious what you thought about the 100 uses, because when it first came out that was a change. Um, I thought it was interesting. I wanted to see how it played out, but I really didn't think it was quite enough to possibly going to solve a problem they were trying to solve. I think that's what they were trying to do. I mean, I assume so, because sort of the old issue with the system was that you buy a key once, you never had to, like, it was just a one-time transaction, kind of like a lot of the other systems in the game. So they're trying to like make it a bit more interesting or balance it. I'm not really sure what the reason is, but I almost just feel like it isn't quite enough, because I have I don't know. I can't see. I'll have to check what my lowest key is, but I can't imagine it's below 80. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think even 50 probably wouldn't make that much difference to most
Right.
keys. So 100 is analogous to no limit for most
Hmm.
people, unless you're really hitting it hard. I think there's a very small percentage of players where the 100
That
limit
probably affects.
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the lower you make it, clearly the more people that it impacts. It depends on exactly what player behavior they're after. Do they
Right.
want to just increase the scarcity of the ability to access those rooms?
Hmm.
I mean, that's a valid reason, I think.
Hmm.
Does it do that? No, I don't think so. Not the way it is now. I mean, my just finger in the air guess for this would be that something in the region of 15 to 20 would feel probably the best. But that's just a guess, because that gives you enough goes at it, but you can't just spam it forever. It would feel scarce, but it would feel like you had a good
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Because in
That
20
seems like a
runs,
pretty good number.
you'd hope that law of averages would say that you'd at least get something decent. Because I know some people get some really awful stuff out of the rooms.
Right.
But you'd think in 20 runs that you'd get something good. Yeah, you might still get unlucky, but averaging it across, it's not like the key's got 3 uses and you get 3 matches 3 times the mark to them and that's it. It's gone. I feel like that would be okay. And I still don't think it would affect that many people, because people go to all sorts of different maps. It's only people who are very dedicated to doing very specific loot runs, maybe on shoreline, maybe in dorms, the mark key, those kind of things,
Right.
and Merrin
Right.
key. I think
Right.
only those ones would really get hit by it. But I don't know. I still think, yeah, anything above 50, I just don't think it has an impact particularly.
Yeah. I also, as you said, I kind of just question what's the goal? What's the objective for this change? And I'm not too sure, do they want to make it keys more value, or more like retain their value throughout the wipe period? Um, that would kind of make sense, because that was sort of the biggest thing was like, yeah, you joined late wipe and every key was like literally almost every key was at the price that it sold to the vendor. Like that was the max. Like it was, except for like marked room keys and like even factory key stays at its vendor price for most of the wipe, if not the whole wipe. I don't know, but yeah, I'd be interested. I mean, you know me, I would be interested to see a keys outside the container, and yeah, they're unlimited uses, but it's sort of like this revolving door where it's pun intended, where you use the key, maybe you survive twice and you got to use it twice, and then you died and someone looted it and now they got to use it a few times, something exchanging hands. I don't know, maybe a little bit more interesting. But
Yeah, that's kind of nuts, but that would change the game quite a bit.
yes, it
I
would.
don't know. Oh gosh, I'm not even. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that, because that's like, would people just not go with with the would they people just leave them in their stash and just never use them? Or would the keys be much cheaper? I suppose yes. There's a lot of ways that goes.
Yeah,
I think there's too many impacts for that to just go, oh yeah, well clearly this is going to happen and this is going to happen. It's like it impacts the whole value proposition of keys in general. Keys are all then much cheaper, so then people are more willing to run them, but then they're going to die with them more, which is the whole reason why they're cheap in the first place. So, but then maybe some of them wouldn't be because they're still scarce. So the scarcity things, dorms marked is still going to be really rare. So that will, even if it's, I don't know, that's a
sounds
tough
like
one.
something that needs to be tested. Nudge, nudge. Mikita rubbing shoulders.
Yeah, can you imagine how annoying that would be though? You get like key for your quest and then you have to go in. I mean, to be
Yes,
fair, it would make you that would, that's the quest that would maketh you a man from a boy kind of thing. If you think that going in with certain loadouts is scary, going in with the one key that you have to complete, the stupid put the marker down
sure.
in dorms, marked room or something, and you have one. If you die, that's it. It's gone.
This is the problem with me and stuff related to this is I'm never like I've never really, when it comes to like tinkering stuff, I've never really been like a slowly turning the knob to cook the frog. I've just been like, all right, take him out of the pond and throw him in the boiling water, Let's see science, what happens, that's kind of just how oh, he burns, he dies
Yeah.
terribly. Oh, that was that was a little too hot, maybe. That's kind of the problem with me when it comes to these things. I don't know why I just like. So we got this thing. What if we did something completely different? What would happen? Yeah. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention, and then that's gonna be it for me, was I did some testing with the breathing, because that's a couple of
Interesting.
weeks. Was it last week? A couple weeks ago? I mentioned I killed a guy. I put on his visor, and then my PMC was just like, having sex with It's fucking just some deep, deep breathing. So I got some notes here. Alexandria is bad. And Sergey is maybe worse than Alex. And what I mean by that is the breathing's really loud, and there is a background noise that is coming through. That's like you could describe it as static, and it's really annoying because it's within that frequency that like bushes, like rustling bushes would sound like. So just imagine you have something that sounds similar to that, just like in between each heavy breathing that's going on. Like it sounds like a running faucet. It's really bad. And I suspect it's probably where they recorded someone breathing, right? So you're going to like, if you think about how am I going to record my breathing? Okay, let me exaggerate my breathing, but then also let me boost it up in post. But when you boost it up in post, maybe you pick up some background noise. I don't know. There's like 1,000 other things that can happen. But I think the call, I'm probably butchering all these names. I'm really sorry, but the call is okay. And I think that's the new one that they added. I could be wrong. And there's some static, but in between the breathing, you can hear it once he finishes his breath, and then it cuts off. So it's like they added a gate there, like a noise gate to cut that off. So if you're a bear and you want to run facial a lot, you can change your voice to McCall and save yourself the hassle.
And it's better.
It's the most usable one. I mean, it's even his sprinting out of breath is not that loud, which I like. The other thing that I tested and confirmed is if you have a helmet with a face shield and it's in the down position in your stash and you equipped it, when you're loading the raid, you will hear the breathing. When you spawn into the raid, the breathing will stop. And you will not have the breathing until you take off your face shield, like lift it up and then put it back on in the raid. Now, I'm 90% sure if you take off your helmet in your backpack and put it on, it doesn't fix anything, and quote unquote. Like you can't. It's a one-time deal. The other thing I noticed with some of the sorry, I think it's all of them actually, is when you do have the breathing with the face shield, and everything I'm saying is I can only confirm for bear. I don't know if it's for you, Sec, but when you do have the breathing, when you lift up the face shield, the breathing sound still plays because it's a segmented loop. It's on loop essentially.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a 1 minute recording, whatever. If you lift up your face shield at the very start of the recording, it has to play, and I think this is the bug, it has to play the whole entire breathing recording until it says, okay, now we stop the loop. And it's pretty annoying. So you just kind of, maybe if you're like a super meta gamer and you figured it out, or you got thousands of hours, you know exactly when to lift your face shield, so it cuts off right at that second. But I thought that was interesting as well. So facts from church today.
That's good. That's good. The other thing that really annoys me about that is when you get hurt in raid and then you heal your status effects with therapist, and then you forget to heal your PMC, and then you go into the hideout and the guy's like, oh god. Oh god, and you just can't get it to turn. I'm like, please, no, heal with the grizzly, heal him. No, stop making the noise, and it's awful. It's awful. It honestly, you've got someone just dying in your ears.
Yeah,
and it's terrible. And I'm sure that's probably even worse as bear, but it's bad as USEC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along the same vein. But no, that's interesting because I don't think I've not done any testing, but I don't think USEC has anywhere near the same problems at all with the visors and the breathing sounds. You have the breathing sounds, but they're not on the same level by any means. But it's interesting that visor down into the raid, you don't have the breathing bug, because it is a bug really. It's still in. It's one of my favorite bugs.
Yeah, mine too.
But I've not used many face shields this wipe, so I didn't really know. But that's good to know, because that really does make face shields, pretty decent. As long as you make sure that you stay in areas where you're going to keep it on, then it's okay. I
Yeah.
did actually get a multi-ballistic from somebody,
Hmm.
and this is another. I think this was another random PMC, but I didn't kill them. Someone else killed them. This is on factory, and I picked up the dude's face shield, and I think I hit him in the head, but he had the face shield on, and I just had awful ammo. And then someone else like just swept his legs out from behind, and then we were just like, oh, and shared the loot. And it's 39 out of 40, dude, and it's got a huge crack right in the middle,
Oh
and I
no.
can't repair it.
Yeah.
Sucks. It sucks because when you can't repair, you can't get rid of the crack.
Right.
And when it's yeah, so it's just bad. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to just use it on a throwaway run or something, and hope I get shot in the face with buckshot, something like that.
Yeah. I don't really know how you could do it. I did see some people were discussing how to cheese. I don't remember where I saw this, but cheese the Zabralo quest where you got to get under 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying you go to Night Woods. Hopefully, you spawn next to the minefields. You hit one minefield, repair, heal yourself. You hit another minefield, repair, heal yourself. You throw a grenade, dive, dolphin dive on the grenade. Make sure your Zabral is insured, and hopefully that will be enough damage that when you get it back through insurance, it'll be at 50%. I was like, dang, that's pretty smart, actually. I
Yeah,
gotta give credit where credit's due.
that's good. I didn't realize mines damaged your armor.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently, because I remember they changed nades to do that
Yeah,
because people were complaining, right, that like nades were the best metagame strategy of all time because you just nade somebody and then they've got pristine killer and
yeah.
face shield and all this stuff back when you could wear all those things. So they changed it, way back, so you couldn't do that anymore. But yeah, that's smart. That's that's a good idea. Good idea. I always end up this wipe actually got well. You could say lucky or unlucky with that one because I ended up finding one, and I can't even remember where or how. But I found one under 50% durability and just kept it in my stash until I needed it. And I was thinking, well, I'm partly lucky because I can just hand it in and it's
Hmm.
easy. But I'm partly unlucky because in a previous wipe that would have made me 5 mil. And then I would have gone to have, fabricated my own Zabralo because I don't normally buy one. I just do it myself. But I had a find and raid one, and in previous wipes I would have sold it on the flea for
Yeah.
a hefty sum. Um, but this time I couldn't, so I just had to use it myself, which is a bit sad. But normally when I do it myself, I tend to just go into factory with something stupid and just have the biggest helmet I can physically buy and just romp around shooting people. It's normally what I do. Well, I don't know what I'd do this wipe actually, because I can't get a lot of the meta helmets. But I just find the biggest helmet that I can and just go around just cosplaying as the heavy or something, or killer himself, one or the other, and just do that until you get it. I think the barter's relatively cheap for it. I haven't really checked the levels, the class sixes this wipe.
I think it's around like just under 300k because
Yeah,
it's
which
like
is alright. It's okay.
four thermites, four TP 2000s. I think I saw because I was looking at some armor barters earlier, something like this.
Yeah,
So
it's always been relatively cheap, that one. I thought anyway. For what
yeah,
it is, because people don't
I
really like it that much.
I want to try. Um, once I get max strength, try wearing that armor and see if like, is this viable? Is this meme or meta with max strength? Because in theory, you wouldn't have any of the weight penalties. Yes, you have the movement penalties, but that's kind of offset by the fact that you have max strength a little bit.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting.
I
Interesting.
see what you mean. It's kind of like, okay, well, it's minus 35% move speed or whatever, but I have plus 16% move speed for max strength. And so it's like I have minus 16% move speed. So
Right.
it's a bit like using the current when you're level 15.
And it doesn't weigh anything because you have max strength.
Yes.
So it's like, like I think in theory it doesn't sound like the worst idea. I
It
don't know,
doesn't sound like the worst idea ever. I agree.
but
I'm intrigued.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll
Interesting.
take me another 600 raids. Gotta get them shotgun magazines in my backpack. But
And you'll never want to play the game again, but hell, you'll have max
I'll
strength.
have max strength. You got any closing thoughts? Anything else, Giga?
No, I think that's about it. I'm hoping to actually play a bit more this week.
Yeah.
That would be good. That would be real nice. Um, yeah, it's actually quite. It was kind of handy that I had a whole bunch of playtime before then. But yeah, as I said, I just had a really
Hmm.
stupidly busy, like kind of fortnight in general. So I was actually amazed that I even went and managed to get up to the next quest level. But yeah, it's because I did the ophthalmoscope thing through the case and did it that way. So I'm still, still working my way towards stuff. But yeah, it would be good. I don't know. This wipe still feels great though. Honestly, it still feels really good to me. And there was a few comments on YouTube that some people were saying, "Oh, it's gonna be it's gonna be really rough. Mid wipes can be awful." And someone actually popped up, I think today, saying, "Hello, it's me. I'm a new player and mid wipe." And I think maybe they were experienced before. I don't know, but they came back and said, "Well, it's fine because you have like the ump with match FMJ and it kills everybody." I was like,
Good
okay, well,
old
that's
ump.
the good old the equalizer. So
Yeah.
there's options and it works, and lots of people still using class 4. And it still feels good. Still feels good. So I'm excited to get a bit more game time in. That's my closing thoughts. Get more game time in. Let's go.
Yeah. No, I was thinking this earlier when you're talking about ballistics. Is it feels like a lot of the ammo is like within that the common ammos, should say M62, M80, 55A1, 56A1, even pushing M855, FMJ, AP, APC, whatever the ump
Yeah.
AP ammo. All these ammos kind of sit within this like 3 to 4 BP, 3 to 4 to 5 range, and that's kind of like 4 and 5 is basically the armors we're seeing a lot. So I think it does sort of feel there's a little bit of work you got to do to get some of the other stuff, some more than others. But yeah, I think it does kind of equalize itself in some ways. And yeah. Um, thanks everyone for tuning in. We got a new couple new features like to roll out in the future is potentially doing an event in the Discord where we'll be doing the show, and at a certain part of the show we'll take, I don't know, open mic. You guys will have the stage. I have to look into it, but essentially you can audience members, quote unquote, can raise their hand, and then we'll get the floor, and you guys can ask your question or share topic or whatever. You know, tell us about your grandma. Who we just shoot the shit, as to say. And yeah, we've got there's a poll in there. I like to get some more data in the Discord, talking about where have you found your lab cards. And right now, I think the majority has been from playing as a player scav, but I like to get some more data before we can like draw some sort of conclusion. And yeah, appreciate the support, guys. And see all the comments. Someone actually just commented not like before we started about the TX15. I was like, yeah, I've been playing. If I'm going to ask Giga about it, meme or meta.
I like
That's
Meme Meta.
cool.
We should do that again.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, cool. Well, with that, guys, we will wrap it up and catch you next time.
See you later.